I'm good. How are you, brother?
Very well. I see. I beg you, do me a favor. I haven't got a photograph of me with the full council. If you can take some, not only record, also you to maybe do one video on your phone and then send it to me, please. Yeah.
At the end?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't want to. I don't in session. So
When you're in session.
Even when I'm sitting down, when I go to sit down, you just do it. Yeah. Just to show it. Because I haven't got in there just now. Good evening, everybody. I'm Alpha Collins. I'm the mayor of Elstree and Borewood Town Council, and I'm pleased to welcome all of you to this official vacation, this meeting of full council. And it's about 7:30 now, and we're about to start the meeting, the full council meeting. On the agenda, let's see what we have here now. Is there any apologies? Are there any apologies?
Okay, we'll just do it again. Yeah, that's working. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Mayor. Can I just give my apologies? I'm making for the slightly earlier. I've got another function, but I'll try and stay as long as I possibly can.
Okay, please note that.
We also have apologies from Councillor Kumar and Councillor Fancy.
Okay, thanks so much. Now we're here to receive declaration of interest from council of those items on the agenda. Is there any declaration of interest? Is there any written request for dispensation or declaration declarable interest? Right. We have any grant request for dispensation as appropriate? Having declared. Okay, then we'll move on to item on the agenda number 3, minutes. To approve and sign the minutes of the council held on 3rd December 2024. Is everyone in agreement with him?
Yes.
Okay, we move on to item number 5, accounts for payment to confirm. I do apologize. Okay, we have the general, we look at the signed minutes of the committee as follows. We have the general management committee on the 25th of July 2024 and the 31st of October 2024. We have the environment planning committee, an international affairs subcommittee, an entertainment committee. Okay, we'll move on.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you wish to say something?
No, I just said that's just got on the note, really.
Okay, we move on to item number 5 on the agenda, accounts for payment, to confirm the payment of accounts as approved as follows. We have on the 0 pages, just before you folks. Can you refer to those, and just go, let me know what's the payment, please. You can have a few minutes to comment. Yeah. Is it good? Okay, that's great then. Yes, sir? Yeah. Then we move over to partnership work and on the agenda. To receive verbal report on the community enforcement officer partnership. I would like to make mention that the speakers within this session, I think you folks have 10 minutes exactly, because we are running against time. So please, do not overstay your time of speech. Yeah. Yeah, Carol, please.
No? Thank you, Councillor. So I'm Paul Sawyer, Head of Environmental Health Licensing and Resilience, and I'm sure you know Councillor Gray, who's our portfolio holder. The Community Enforcement Team was established back in April last year. When we established the team, it was clear that there was a demand for the service, and this was based on concerns about antisocial behaviour and envirocrime. Funding for the establishment of the team came from monies previously given to the police for the provision of extra PCSOs, but which had not been spent. And we were also delighted to receive a contribution towards the service costs from Elstree and Bournemouth Town Council, which enabled us to employ an additional officer. After 2 rounds of recruitment, the team members began to join us through May and June. Initially, they had to undergo a number of formal training exercises, and also given a lot of mentoring from the existing envirocrime officer and other members of the environmental health team. They have access to 3 vehicles, 2 of which are new electric ones, and we're hoping to replace the 3rd with an electric version in the forthcoming year. Obviously, a lot of the activities in the Boreham Wood area they can undertake on foot from the offices. We've been keen to ensure that they spend as much time as possible visible and on the district, so they're also supported by our technical admin team, so that it reduces the burden on computer entry and paperwork for them. So some of their core daily activities include visible patrols in the towns and villages, and that includes not only the large parades in Shelley Road and so on, but also some of the smaller community parades around the town. They check for commercial waste contracts in shop premises and so on. They've been tackling fly tipping, and that's by way of mobile patrols, gathering evidence, supporting and liaising with landowners, and deploying our monitoring cameras, both in urban and rural locations. They've been supporting public events and campaigns, including some of the key community events in the town. And they've been carrying out joint patrols with police colleagues in antisocial behaviour hotspots. The team are now linked up to the Shopwatch radio system, which gives them direct contact with the CCTV control centre, and that allows close coordination with unfolding incidents and real-time reactivity whilst they're in cameraed areas covered in Bourne Wood. So that's mainly Shenley Road, Manor Way, and I think there's a couple of other areas. But it's only in the town that we have the cameras. Foot patrols carried out in Bourne Wood on a daily basis. They cover at least one of the main shopping parades and often more. These lead to multiple interactions with businesses, residents and visitors to the area, where information will be shared, assurances given, and issues channeled to the appropriate either council department or other agencies. So on average, we've recorded about 150 interactions per month, but I suspect that's probably an underestimate, because there's lots of interactions that go on literally as they walk around, some of which they probably don't record. The team have now received a total of £6,550 in fines from flight-free littering and duty of care offences since they started, and we've got about another £600 awaiting payment. The breakdown for Elstree and Bourne Wood is 8 flight-free, 8 duty of care and 6 littering, and that actually accounts for about half of the fixed penalty notices served across the whole borough. And it's actually twice the number than we served across the whole borough in the previous full 12-month period. So before we had the officers, we only managed a quarter of the whole borough's total that we now have. So I think that demonstrates the importance of the team. So whilst fixed penalty notices are served when compelling evidence is found, it's not always possible. And so around 250 investigations have taken place into reported flight tipping, with about 140 of those being specifically in the Bourne Wood and Elstree area. So to date, they've conducted about 320 duty of care visits on business premises. All of the main commercial areas in Bourne Wood and Elstree have been covered in the first wave, and we'll be going back again in the forthcoming months to check ongoing compliance with that. And that's about making sure that the businesses have proper arrangements for their waste collection. The community payback team, which is run by the probation service, have proved a very useful ally, and our team have been able to identify and report areas of concern where they've been able to go in and clear litter and waste. They undertake about 1 session a week in our area. Most recently, they've spent 2 sessions up at Farrers Way Estate, one at Organ Hall, and continuing ones along the Shenley Road, Service Road areas. We've got a number more in the pipeline. Operation Hotspot, this is an initiative run in collaboration with the police and targeting specifically the identified crime and antisocial behaviour hotspot of Shenley Road. Now, since October, our team have carried out a total of 52 hours of evening and weekend patrols, and there's some more scheduled. Shall I carry on or shall I wait? Stop the clock in my 10 minutes.
I'll use my
Yes, sure. Yeah.
I'll use my discretion to give you 1 or 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor.
That was interesting. Great rules, just wanted to.
I feel yeah, so during the patrols, CEOs have spoken with businesses, residents and visitors and have to complete a return to the police to identify what they've done. Some example things that they've done over the last few weeks have been reporting a suspicious deal from a car boot. That was reported directly to police who were already on patrol, and they dealt with that. We undertook patrols during the Christmas light switch on, and I think the team ended up having to chaperone your talent, Michelle Collins, who was doing the light switch on, so we got heavily involved in that. And on a more concerning note, they assisted with an elderly lady who'd fallen over and had head trauma, so they looked after her until the ambulance arrived. Another new initiative is the arson hotspot patrols. Now, working on intelligence provided by the police and fire service, our officers are now conducting foot patrols in areas where recent arson incidents have occurred. Now, there's about a dozen of these, and they're all actually in the Bournemouth area. They are identifying anything suspicious, reporting it back to either be cleared or secured, so that we can prevent further fires being started in those areas. The community skip scheme, which Councillor Newmark announced at the most recent full council meeting and spoke very eloquently about it on the radio this morning, is a new initiative, and the community enforcement officers will be very much involved in that, from the early pre-event publicity and then engaging with residents on the day, giving them advice on how to dispose of their waste normally, particularly bulky items, warning them against use of unlicensed, unscrupulous waste collectors that may well fly tip it. And the team will also be on hand to assist those who maybe find it difficult to get stuff into the community skip. Now, the pilot will be held here in Bournemouth, and I suspect that a lot of the early ones will be in the Bournemouth area. We've started another initiative today, Meet the Community Enforcement Officer. So down at 96 Shenley Road, we had a coffee drop-in session this morning where public were invited to come and speak with the team and put forward their concerns, and so that we can either deal with them directly or pass them to the most appropriate body. We're going to be running those on a monthly basis at 96, and we've got more planned for other locations, some in the town and some in other parts of the borough. On joint working with the police, we've recently carried out an operation with colleagues targeting cuckooing in one of the blocks of flats in Bournemouth. Most recently, just last night. So they engaged in door knocking and gathered information, provided some reassurance, and they also promoted the Hearts Connect, which is the new, it's the new OWL system, if you're familiar with that, which used to be the sort of the information exchange for sort of neighbourhood watch type activities.
You may have an additional 2 minutes description.
Okay, thank you. So as part of our first year review, we will be introducing some more specific performance measures. In the first year, we wanted to just see how the land lay, but we will be looking towards working with partners, such as the Town Council, to identify suitable measures for performance going forward. And I know I'll be meeting with your Town Clerk after your next general management meeting to go through that in more detail. We're also going to be looking at the evidence of fly tipping and envirocrime to see whether the performance of the teams have a reduction in those figures. In the forthcoming months, we're going to be putting the team through some training under the police accreditation scheme. That will give them some additional confidence to carry on with further work. It will allow us to do more hours and widen the scope of their activity. And finally, we'll be hopefully adopting new public space protection orders in the next few months after a public consultation. Things like dog fouling and so on will be covered, and the enforcement officers will be in the forefront of enforcing that. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, sorry. Thank you, Is there any question?
May I ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
I find the answer particularly disturbing. Is it targeted against individuals or shops, or is it just idiots with waste things?
I think you'll find the answer is your latter. We had a spate during the kind of summer and autumn months where quite a few bin fires were happening in our parks and on our streets, and that was one of the things that police asked us to help kind of target and build an intelligence picture when they're about on their rounds. It was a specific event to Bournemouth, and I think now the police have quite a lot of data and somebody in mind, so they're going to be knocking on the door in the near future.
Thank you.
Can I ask Paul?
Yes,
Paul, do they go to?
Councillor Parnell, everything should go through the chair.
Oh, sorry, yes, okay, Mr. Mayor, may I speak to Paul Sawyer?
Yeah, please.
Right, thank you. Paul, I would like to know, do they go to other areas, like Man Way, for instance, is this, it's,
Yes, Councillor, the patrols are wide ranging, so not only do we police all of the shopping areas, including Manaway, and Manaway in particular, because, as many councillors know, we've had long-standing problems with fly tipping to the rear of Manaway particularly. So that's, on average, certainly in December, they were visiting Manaway at least twice a week, as well as Shedding Road and some of the other, Leading Road. And we are keen, they were at Rossington Avenue the other day, we're keen to make sure that they cover all of the community shops, as well as just the main thoroughfares.
just that I've never seen them, and I'm going through there 2 or 3 times a day, but I've never seen them there. I thought maybe they're just for the town.
No, they will, as I say, we do record where they're going, and as I say, we're going to be making a little bit more detail on those recordings, but I mean, the reality is, they will patrol, they won't be there all day. It'll be a matter of luck whether you actually see them or not.
I do go around about 2 or 3 times a day, different times, so, okay, I'll look out for them. Thank you.
I think we can, if there's any question, there should be a further question. Councillor Khalid.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. We have hotspots in the street in Wormwood, which actually remain the same. Thanks to the borough, of course, we have got in Manaway, which you mentioned, thanks for that, 8 bins, domestic waste. But as far as fly tipping is concerned, there's no change. Like the borough talks about task unfinished groups going on for years together. The question that people ask us is, look, we have been in power now for such a long time. How come we don't find any difference? Whether it is Shenny Road, on both sides of Shenny Road behind the buildings, when it comes to 290 bus stop, every time I go there, it's probably once a fortnight in the bus to the station. I take a photograph and send it. Well, next time I go, the place cleaned up. But again, it keeps repeating itself. I mean, it can't be the standard duty of a councillor to report to the borough that look, these are the hotspots. I mean, there has to be some way out of it. And also, there has to be some reduction perceived by the resident. That's one question. Second, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
When we have got 4 people, like a bank that will be asking this question, there should be some return on investment. That will be break even. They're spending about 144,000, maybe 36,000, I don't know which salaries, but there should be some break even point. When do we come to a break even point, or do we reduce the number after some time? So that, tenancies, if they are expected that there will be a good effect on people, but the presence of officers, I've met them on the street myself, I have no problem with that.
Well, thanks ever so much.
When would we have a reduction in number, or when will we break even?
Okay, thanks ever so much. Clerk, can you please have that look? Yeah, Councillor Umar.
Yeah, my question is going to be on similar lines about impacts. I actually spoke to a business owner, a restaurant owner on Shenny Road the other day who had been persistent in complaining about the state of the service roads up until CEOs were introduced, and basically doesn't have to deal with the rat problem anymore. I also spoke to a resident who was delighted to receive a fly tipping penalty notice. Genuinely delighted. It actually genuinely wasn't their fault. They're a business owner, and one of their items that had an address on it had appeared in a fly tip from somebody else, but they were incredibly impressed as a result of the CEOs. They've obviously got their rubber gloves out, reading through the evidence, picked up an address and followed it up. But are there any other very sort of specific examples of impacts that you could give, stuff that wasn't happening before and is happening now?
Yes, yeah, sure. I mean, there are lots of things that the OCMOs are doing, and a large part of it, at the very beginning, when we set this team up, was making those connections and working with businesses. They come regularly to my business breakfast meetings that I hold once a quarter to update the business owners in Boreham Wood around the issues that is being picked up, etc. I mean, one of the biggest things is they are, before we had this team involved, whenever we experienced the issues of large fly tippings on our lanes in and around the Wellenders area and all that kind of area. The only resource we basically had was to pick it all up, clean it, and get rid of it. Now we can do the forensic analysis. We've got the resource, we've got the teams to go through those fly tippings, and that's leading to prosecutions. There are several in the pipeline that are going through the courts. We're seeing a large increase in the fixed penalty notices that we're issuing. I'm really pleased that at the Borough Council we've just literally finished our external antisocial behaviour review. And that's a review for the whole of the council, but we're looking into that now and digesting all the information that's come back on that to look at what powers we want to kind of give our enforcement team going forward. And Paul touched on those. There are things like drinking in the parks, where we have dry parks again to look at.
Councillor Gray, can you wrap up your answer, please?
Yeah, so well, it was quite a detailed question, so I was giving quite a detailed answer to the.
But we have precious time. We're going to have 10 minutes and we move on.
Yeah, so there are quite a lot of instances, and probably if anybody would be interested in hearing about those, I'd be more than happy to come back at a later date and give a more thorough and detailed presentation.
Thanks ever so much. Yeah. Clerk, can you please note what there are answers and responses and according to Councilor Craig, he's going to come over and give us some.
We'll get to it.
We'll get some feedback from the citizens. Yeah, we can, I think we need to go over to agenda number 7. The finance budget and agenda. Okay, yes, thanks so much. If you folks press the time, thank you again for our meeting. I wish you all well. And I say very back to your favorite home. We need to move forward to item number 7 on the agenda, that is finance, budget, and precinct demand report for 2025, 2026. Consider and resolve for discussion. First, let's look at the adoption of budget for 2025, 26 to be considered in conjunction with 2 below. Rule number 2, as well as setting of the town council precinct event for 2025. And all of them, they are all attached. So you please refer to them and then we can talk about it. Yes, Councilor Griffin, Councilor Alexander, yeah, you can please present the budget, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to commend our clerk and all the officers for their work in producing a balanced budget in difficult conditions. I'm very pleased today to be able to recommend that we adopt this budget. It's not been an easy exercise due to inflationary pressures on our cost base, as well as the new requirement for local parishes to pay national insurance. And I'm pleased to say we've managed it without any loss to the service we provide our residents. In fact, residents will see an even greater range and number of events. What is a relatively small precinct is really just a membership fee for being part of an amazing club. A club that provides an annual civic festival culminating in Family Day and circus, fireworks display, cannibalizing, the new Diwali festival, Christmas lights, subsidised road trips, which now include offering to children, allotments, WD6 newsletter with great credits for Councillor Smith and Officer Dan Salter, and of course, the ever popular farmers market, which credit must be given to my predecessor, Councillor Butler, and the staff who get up at the crack of dawn every week to set this up, and in fact, all of our other events. I doubt you will find another club offering all these benefits to this price. On the more somber note, we've also taken responsibility for organising Remembrance Sunday, and there was the 80th anniversary of D-Day Land Abundance, which we commemorated on October. You can see our budget is now extending to around about £1 million, which really reflects our weight and the extent of the services that we provide We're hitting big time now as a council, and there's a great future ahead of us. And I hope you will join me in supporting the budget before us.
Thanks, Councillor Alexander. Yeah, folks, you folks have anything to say? Yes, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to add a few things to that Councillor Alexander covered. What we've got before us, friends and colleagues, is a progressive value for money people's budget. The cost to the taxpayer is just £72.66 per household. That's 15% lower than the average national parish and town rate, according to the Department of Developing Housing and Communities. And I will repeat what I said last year. We've managed to turn around 4 years of deficits under the previous administration. Sorry, I have to mention it. Sorry. And we're now putting out surpluses, as well as consolidating and according to changes. Information.
Excuse me, laughing, I'm sorry.
And, as Councillor Alexander said, we're announcing a raft of new ones.
Very
Just some things that Councillor add to what he said. As we've just heard, we're hopefully going to be funding community enforcement officer again, as we have done last year, to help clean up our town, tackle floods and environmental crime. Friends, we saved last year Real Studio 70 Cinema from closure. The local community can now enjoy that, as well as a film and TV exhibition, completely free of charge, as can tourists who are and will be coming into our town as our culture strategy develops. The Diwali celebrations is a fantastic new thing that's happened this year. Credit to Councillor Tashar, and I've been running for that, especially. We've launched, last week we launched a new printed publication, What's on W6. Again, Linda, Dan, and others have done some fantastic work there. And that gives groups in our town a pedestal to publicise their activities delivered through doors across the town. So, on top of what's been mentioned, there's also the Civic Festival and the Dog Show that we held for the first time in the budget from last year. We've got W6 Youth Convention, Community Grant Scheme, the Youth Council continues to flourish. Our ongoing plaque, war memorials, cemeteries, allotments, the Upkeep Railway Hall as a community resource. But this year, we're going to build on that, as you said. Just 5 or 6 things to mention here. We will deliver the new neighbourhood plan that's going to go out for consultation later this year. We are working towards a printed and door-to-door delivered version of W6 News magazine. There is something in the budget for that. We will establish a environment initiatives fund, and we will be looking at the railway hall to renewable energy. We're expanding our allotment sites and facilities available for users. We will, Councillor Parnell is leading on organising a tennis tournament in summer. We'll bring together all 4 of our twin towns. We'll be holding the 80th anniversary commemorations. We will be progressing with the next stage of our culture and creativity strategy, potentially bringing back the film festival, installing, hopefully, a film-related statue of one of the conventions. Yeah, thank you, sir. And film location plaques across the town as well. So we're living in exciting times here in Austrian Bournemouth. This is the budget that reflects our vision, it reflects our ambitions for our town and its people.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask, just commenting on the report?
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, look, I'm delighted you saved the real, absolutely delighted. However, I'm not delighted on the amount that you spent on it, £120,000, £14,000 on a cabinet. I'm disappointed that you would, our council would spend £14,000 on a cabinet, on a wall, that could have been sourced much lower price than that. Very, very disappointed. However, I'm delighted that you saved the room.
That's absolutely.
Jim.
Sorry, Chair, may I come back to that?
Yeah, Caroline.
Thank you. And look, first of all, the figures are wrong. It wasn't 14,000.
Yes,
It wasn't 14, it was about just under 10. And in terms of value for money, absolutely was value for money. First of all, that display case has, you can't just buy any old case. It needs to be a specialist museum case. We sought advice from the Austrian Royal Museum. There was a similar case that they purchased that was half the size in Potter's Bar Museum 3 or 4 years ago, and for the size of the case, it was almost exactly the same price, proportionally. So it was value for money, and that case would be.
In your opinion?
Well, I've not seen a cheaper version, obviously,
Okay.
we did the value.
I'll try and dig some out for you.
So yeah.
Councillor Farnell, when we're talking, you need, Carol.
Look, we say for your cinema, you said yourself and you voted, you and your colleagues voted for that, you voted for the budget on that as well.
I know.
So I'm not sure why now we're getting criticisms with false figures and.
Can you wrap up the rebuttal? Thanks all so much. Yes, Councillor Lumar.
Thanks, Mayor. I will make a couple of comments in my capacity as one of the two in-house audit panel members. First to say, I'm sure it wasn't the intention to suggest that we're presenting a surplus budget, but obviously we have to present a balanced budget by law. I think there is a surplus of 31 pence slipped in there. Whilst it's true that we have.
Can you turn on your mic?
It's on.
It's not.
Do you think, can you hear me?
No, it's not working.
I can probably do better without the mic. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So just to make sure that in terms of the remarks earlier about surpluses, there's no suggestion that we are budgeting for a surplus. We're obviously presenting a balanced budget, which is what we're legally obliged to do. I think there's 31 pence surplus in there, which I don't think anybody will be too concerned about. Obviously, if we do deliver surpluses during the year, as we did last year, that's an incredibly positive thing. It's not what we budget to do. Secondly, in terms of the Real Cinema, obviously what the council actually did in terms of this expenditure was to provide a funding grant to the Arm's Length Community Interest Company that was tasked with delivering the project in partnership with the Borough Council. I can assure Councillor Parnell that as a matter of good practice and fiduciary responsibility, as part of the process, all of the quotes were examined by professional surveyors and engineers at the Borough Council to ensure, with a specific purpose of ensuring that the Town Council and the CIC have fulfilled the public best value duty, and that we've also arranged for the surveyors and engineers to come back when the project is completely finished, there's still some snagging work and so on, and go through the invoices and the expenditure and produce a certification at the end of it that it has met best value. I think often people say, well, I could do this better or cheaper, but they forget about obligations like public liability, about needing to ensure that things in public spaces are not going to fall over. There's a lot that goes on behind the surface, but I think we can assure members that there will be an independent report assessing best value, and that will obviously be available to councillors. And my final point on the budget is on Code 430, school swimming. This came up last year, and council was made aware and briefed on the fact that the 15% contribution to lessons that's paid on top of the incredibly important and significant 100% contribution to coach fees is in fact Ultra Vairy's expenditure, because one local authority isn't allowed to disperse funds on matters that are the legal duty of another local authority. And of course, paying for school swimming lessons is the legal duty of the county council in this area. I'm not for a moment advocating cutting any of the funding at all that goes to school. Sorry, this is an important point that I'm making as one of the council's in-house auditors. So I think that council's actually obliged to hear this point out, Mr. Mayor. The notes to the budget seem to indicate that we're once again budgeting to pay 15% of the cost of actual swimming lessons in some of the schools. I know this is something that's been raised in our in-house audit meetings, and I'm finding it difficult to understand why something that we were advised was an ultra vires payment is still appearing in the budget, and would have asked for advice from the clerk and the responsible finance officer on that.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rubin. Yes, Madam Clerk, can you give some insight on?
Yeah, sorry, thank you very much, Councillor Newmark. Just to confirm, the cost estimates was the 55,000 with swim fees, so the budget figure of 50,000 is without the 15% swim fees, whilst we address the matter of the schools individually. So the total quote we had was with the 55, so it's been reduced to 50.
There's an increase in wage journals as well.
Thank you. So, with permission, Mr. Mayor, just so that this is absolutely clear, can I suggest that in the document headed draft budget notes, or where it's on the precept item 7.2, where it says the cost estimate is £55,000 with 15% swim fees, we actually tighten up that language to make it clear that there's no suggestion that we'll repeat previous behaviours of the council in making ultra vires an illegal expenditure.
I seem to be the thing is not working. Mike, it didn't work,
We only paid for transport, didn't we, on swimming? We didn't use to pay for swimming lessons. Okay, Gillian.
No, we have been having swimming lessons.
And it's how long were you paying for swimming?
Yeah. 15%. Oh gosh, before my time, so it's got to be at least 20 years, not going to be
I thought we only paid for transport.
Sorry, yeah, I can help fill this in. I mean, sorry, as you know, Simon, it was done from another administration some time back, when Eileen Stanley was actually pretty much leading the council back then, if you remember. There was something set up there. You're going right back into the 90s. So, yes, honestly, it was a long time ago, school swimmings, and back then I don't think there was much of a problem there, but obviously it was something that was highlighted. I think Councillor Newmark is absolutely right, we do need to look at the language around that, and it's something we do need to work on. And with your permission, Mr. Mayor, while I've got the chance to speak, I just want to also take this opportunity to thank the staff from all the committees and the work that they put into this budget, because it does take a lot of time, as we all know, and I myself have been in to help go through some of this as well. So I just want to say thank you to them. I hope that helped answer the question. If there's anything else I can do after this meeting to help facilitate you with that, I have to work with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Walker. Yes, yes, Madam Clerk, I think you noted all of the various concerns.
Absolutely, I will amend the word and then.
Thanks to all of you for chipping in and adding your voices. I think we need to move. We need to move over to a vote with regards to the finance budget and precinct demand. Yeah. Well, so we need to take a vote. Yeah. Who all is in favor of the budget? It's unanimous. Yeah, that's it.
You don't want to say I'm not going to say.
Yes. And also with regards to setting up the town council precinct demand for 2025 and 26. We need to go for a vote. All in favor of? I think one abstention. Yeah. Oh. It's unanimous. Okay. Right? Okay, we'll move forward to item number 8 on the agenda. That is the sale fund. We need to receive report on the community infrastructure levy status. I think you all have the written copy in your presence. Is there any comment? Any comment, yeah. If any comment, please, talk through the chair, please.
Yes, I'm not going to say my comment yet, and then you want to come to.
Councilor Newmark, you want to say?
I didn't know that's how it works. Whoever presses the buzzer first on the conundrum countdown. And look, obviously, it's not an ideal situation. I'm very grateful to the new clerk for the surfacing the issue in relation to over-allocation of seal funds. It's obviously a scenario in which we bear a degree of, I think, joint culpability. Some of it relates to issues that emerged under the previous administration, and some of it emerged since then. Part of it emerged since then. And I think it is a shame that the proposals we've got in front of us, whilst they're very valuable and worthwhile proposals, don't actually propose a reallocation itself, so that we could close this issue off here this evening. And I'm sure there may be a good reason for that, but I think we have the information in front of us. We can see what the over allocation is. We can see what the items are, and it would have been good to have had a recommendation in front of us to do that reallocation and take that decision this evening, rather than leaving this in abeyance. The strengthening financial controls are welcome. I think it's essential funding is kept in a separate account. I think it's also essential that there is a timeline associated with allocations, so that unspent allocations expire after a period of time, rather than sort of sitting as an earmarked sum for undefined periods of time. We do need to get this right moving forward. We do need to be far more robust. But I do wonder if the clerk or the RFO is in a position to actually recommend a reallocation this evening, so that we can close this issue off.
Councilor Newmark, coming back to you, would you like to propose an amendment?
I'd like to hear the clerk's perspective and hear the debate. I may be able to propose an amendment once we've heard people's views.
Okay, that's great. Is there anyone want
No,
to
it's
add?
okay, because I agree with this. Unfortunately, I
This is debatable.
asked the new one.
Yes, Madam Clerk, maybe you will get an advice on this issue.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Newmark. I would say we have been working on this civil allocation since the agenda papers went out, so I have improved the app ever so slightly since through the process of elimination of previous invoices. We have calculated at the point that the trial balance differed was in October 2022, so that's when we've gone back as far as. With regards to proposals, our variation now to bring us back to zero has reduced from, in these papers it was 52,497.22. As of 5 o'clock today, it's 47,673.22. We have also looked at the allocation allowed for the neighbourhood plan, which was allocated prior to a grant being received, so that allocation with the members' agreement can be removed without any detriment. And then we also have the large portion under project staff, which at present, the building project is still on hold pending the environmental agency, so we could remove that with reconsidering up until there's some movements here and we're back to square one.
Yes, Councilor Newmark.
But that's very helpful. I would propose two amendments, which I think are slightly gentler and will have a lesser impact. I would propose that the earmark funds for the Beryl Bike Scheme, which were conditional upon contiguous cycle route being provided from at the station to Sky Studios, effectively be made conditional upon a further £38,000 of receipts coming in from SIL. That way, it will cover the delta that exists, but it will mean that the town council doesn't have to reduce its commitment to any of the projects that it has previously allocated. Part of my reasoning for that is with the government's proposals on local government reorganisation, there may now be a very tight window of opportunity to do something quite significant around the building itself, and I think that allocation might be needed sooner rather than later. So I think by changing the bicycles allocation to a deferred allocation that can only become payable upon the receipts of a further £38,000 in SIL income, by my sums, that pretty much, well, if your deficit is 52.5, and you can take a further 8k off that, we're almost there, aren't we?
So the deficit as of 5 o'clock with the recoding today was 47, so that does clear it.
Yeah, Councillor Butler.
Mr. Mayor, if Councillor Newmark is proposing that recommendation, I'll be happy to second it.
Okay, we can all go for a vote, please. Who all is in favor of?
Sorry?
Okay, we'll move over to item number 9 on the agenda.
We got these more proposals too as well.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, Carol.
Yeah. But
Yeah, well, okay, and that's what we are going on.
those more proposals as well, so established a 210. But we want to have that was in the names to establish a dedicated fund.
Yeah, so like, we those, yeah. Who all is in favor of? It's unanimous. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay, we are going over to item number 9 on the agenda. That is for the outside bodies, to receive reports from members serving on outside bodies. The Alderman Country 5 Liaison Panel, Councilor Alcazar. You have anything to add, please?
Not to my table.
And we'll go to room number 2.
Yeah, nothing to add.
Okay. Yeah, Councilor Partner.
I think, Clark has, forgotten that Alan Manor is, I'm one of the representatives from the outside bodies for Alan Manor, and it's not on here.
The agenda went out last week and the report arrived today, so I have it for the mayor to include.
No, but you haven't put,
She's answered your question.
sorry?
She just answered the question.
I don't
She said-
understand it. It's
So
precise.
the only papers in the agenda are those received in time to go into the. agenda.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, maybe that could have been explained to me, because I've never done that before, so that
Okay,
if you want it a week before,
I sent
2
an
weeks
email
before.
reminder 2 weeks ago.
okay, that's fine, I didn't know that, no. Okay, that's fine, that's no problem.
Okay. Can we come over to the Lead Lift, big local project? Councilor Alexander?
Yeah, nothing to
So nothing will be reported. And also, Roman number 3, the current year of Jen Cat. Councilor O'Donnell.
Thank you, sir. Just very quickly, there is an important point that I didn't put in the report, which is that it is quite possible that we may lose NOCAP, they may be moving elsewhere, and also they're at the final user of the Fairway. Whilst that would be very sad, and the relationship is very long-standing, we do subsidise that, so there's potential for kind of more revenue to be brought into the council with alternative organisations. I thought I'd raise that now, to give quite significant trust.
Thanks for informing me.
Number 4 is this report from Anna, which is going to see what
Yes, fellow councillors, this is an update from Councillor Parnell. Perhaps you all can go through it, and maybe you can, if you have anything to say to ask Councillor Parnell about, she may have no voice. Councillor Parnell, thank you.
Everybody's got it on the table so they can read it, can't they?
Yes, of course, they can, but I'm talking about maybe you want to have some.
Not really, no, we've got it all in front of them, it's a waste, I don't want to waste your time.
Okay, thanks, that is very considerate of you. That is very considerate. Yeah, anybody wants, Councillor, hey, Councillor, you know, Councillor, you know something? It goes without saying, it goes without saying, ladies first, it's a societal thing.
No, I think Councillor Carson just wanted to give me, I was just going to say thank you so much for the councillors for their reports, they're excellent, including Councillor Parnell. Thank you so much. There we go, I read it.
You read it?
Yeah.
It's fine, okay, actually, it's nothing, you know.
Yeah, Councillor, yeah. Oh, okay, thanks.
So this is good.
So, Councillor Parnell, I think everything is
That's your
good.
position.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. We are going to item number 10 on the agenda, that is notice of motion pursuant to standing order 1B to be considered. The motion should not be progressed unless it has been moved and seconded to be considered. C-24/1, that proposal by Councilor Ozarus, flooding, road safety and neglect by Hertfordshire County Council. Can you expand upon it, Councilor Ozarus?
Someone's 5-year-old daughter, someone's 30-year-old father, someone's 83-year-old grandmother. Friends, last year on Britain's roads, there were 128,920 casualties, 1 every 4 minutes. At rush hour times, 1 every 3 seconds. In the 50 cases, they were killed or faced life-changing injuries. The motion before you today outlines a cocktail of systemic failure and neglect by Conservative-run Hertfordshire County Council, the authority responsible for the state of our roads, speed limits, traffic and signage, in short, the safety of our children, our family, our friends and our neighbours. But it also sets out positive suggestions for how this can be improved to protect our people. Parts of Elstree and Boylewood have been regularly flooding for many years. Allen Lane, in particular, near the recycling centre. The road effectively transforms into a river each time it rains. Vehicles move around the water into the opposite lane of oncoming traffic moving down the hill. Photographic evidence has been sent to Hertfordshire County Council along with testimonies from multiple residents about their involvement in crashes or near misses. We've been met with silence. It is a tragedy waiting to happen. Over 600 residents have signed a petition demanding that HCC clear the drains and act to solve the long-term issue. They're sick of waiting. Several media have picked up on this, including BBC Three Counties Radio, who interviewed me last week, and the report is seen as astounded as I was that the bureaucratic response from Hertfordshire County Council was given to us rather than urgent solutions given the rise of things like this. Friends, our town is riddled with potholes. Some parts like Alexandra Road and Well End or Elstree Hill North are more like mini multiples. When these are reported, HCC often take weeks, sometimes months to fix the problem. We also face the prospect of speeding and tragic accidents around some of our schools, nurseries and places where children and people work, because HCC refused to roll out 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in places such as Composers Day in Elstree, where residents' consultation and support for that was ignored. The Department for Transport has shown that 20-mile-per-hour roads reduce casualties by 30%. The British Attitude Survey suggests that at least 2/3 of the population in the UK support the introduction of these schemes. So just to finish, we say enough of HCC's negligence on each of these fronts. They must resolve the flooding risk both at Narrow Lane and in other hotspots around our town. We will, this motion is passed, support the 2020 Hertfordshire campaign to implement 20-mile-an-hour schemes on streets where there is particular risk. And we demand that HCC demonstrates a commitment to resolving the pothole crisis, using the injection of funds that our national government is providing for them.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Ozara. Yeah, the motion is, motion is on the table. Who's on the second, please?
Whose job is to keep that road clean and keep it flooded with water? Because
County Council.
of the drain or
The County Council.
county council?
Yes, of course. Yeah, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, I second the speech. And is that my right to speak?
Yeah, Councillor. Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, there's a lot in this paper motion that I'm keen to, sorry, getting over it. But can I just point out today, actually at approximately 1 o'clock today, the drainage ditch in Allen Lane there, where the flooding is, the photograph that you've just provided to us tonight, has actually been cleared. I witnessed that myself today, although one worker was enjoying to sit on the back of the lorry while the pumps did the work to drain out the gully there, but it's nice to see. I will, if I may say, I will echo the concerns that you're raising in this, whether or not why it's the right time at the County Council. Because I do agree with what you're saying, especially around the potholes and the fixing of that. It's not an easy task, but yeah, I pretty much support this motion. Thank you.
Yes. Can we move to a motion? Who's going to second it?
Yeah, I was seconded it. I seconded it. I was seconded the right to speak. I would finish off by saying I welcome this. I think it's a really good step. So I also welcome what Councillor Butler just said. I think it's all about working together on this to ensure that we can do the best for the local area. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Councillor Chalice. I think we can all go for a vote. Who all is in favor of what? It's unanimous. It's being carried. Okay. We'll move over to item number 11 on the agenda. That is but that is 10, pardon me, we are going with 10 Roman number 2, and that is 24/2. Proposer, dear Councillor, there a motion to declare a climate and ecological emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Parnell was just accusing me of a dramatic performance. She hasn't seen anything yet. Spoke for this one. Friends and colleagues, 3 years ago, supported by their teachers and their families, hundreds of school children around our town produced the Bournemouth Now Street Children's Climate Emergency Manifesto. In it, they each pledge to play their part in preventing climate catastrophe, turning off lights, picking up litter, considering eating less sleep, and saving paper, amongst other things. But they also called upon their parents and grown-ups, like us, to follow suit by putting solar panels on their roofs, reducing car usage, and teaching them more about global warming at home or at school. Of most residents for us, they appealed to those of us in local and national government to put climate change at the heart of policy making and to end greenwashing. To quote the final line of their manifesto, no more blah blah blah, we are running out of time. The stark gloomy reality is that the world's leading climate scientists at the IPCC have warned that we only have 5 years left to cap temperature rises at 1.5% Celsius, or we will face an irreversible tipping point in which droughts, widespread droughts, famine, and heat waves will be proliferating. The threat is existential. We must follow the example of hundreds of other town and parish councils around the land and commit to carbon neutrality by 2030, by declaring not only a climate emergency, but also an ecological emergency. This motion is not about blah, blah, blah. It's one urgent practical action that we are going to take. We will take immediate steps to reduce Fairway's carbon footprint with the goal of powering it completely by renewable energy and solar panels, maximising biodiversity in our allotment sites, and reducing paper waste. We will establish a climate emergency action plan to work on root and branch strategy to counter climate change. We will create an environmental initiatives fund, starting off at £5,000 a year and hopefully increasing, that will make a real difference to on the ground to make change happen. But who are we to preach about this? We all work alongside community organisations. We all work alongside local faith groups and businesses, as well as the Borough and County Council, to achieve carbon neutrality and to save our planet. But as the great philosopher T. Swift once wrote, only one thing can save us, only the young. This is why we will involve and empower the voices of our young people, our youth council, our school children, youth groups. They will be absolutely fundamental to how we achieve this. Since coming to power 18 months ago, this Labour administration has transformed our council's ethical work. We introduced policy to get national living wage accreditation so that our employees are paid the dignified wage that they deserve. Our new ethical investment policy, which means that residents' taxes will no longer fund ecological destruction, fossil fuels, torture and death through the arms industry. We, where possible, we will invest ethically. Friends, we do not inherit the earth from our parents, we borrow it from our children. Let today be the day that the climate emergency manifesto that our children pleaded us to deliver comes to reality. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Buckley.
Yes, Neil, I'm happy to second this motion, and I work with the right eye. I'm happy to speak on it now. Just to point out, again, I agree with this motion. Just to say that the town council, I think you're right to bring to motion. I think we should have something on our record where we do some kind of emergency. Well, we have been doing some work around that anyway. For instance, with the electric van and the electric charging points to try and promote the clean form of travel. Working in partnership with Parton Borough Council, Hertfordshire County Council in the Bell Bike Scheme, walking and cycling programme, also looking at the allotments and work that we're doing around that. So we have been doing a lot of work already. And also, one thing I think in item 4 under the council resolve, I know you talk about a working group. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how often that would meet, so maybe that detail could come back to council, but there's something we should also be trying to encourage, which is the establishment of hedgerows, because that actually allows house sparrows and stuff like that to nest in. We've lost that over years. Once with a town with hedgerows in every front garden and not car parks. Also, we should be looking at encouraging developers to put in Swift bricks and other nature devices within new developments. I don't know if anyone's heard of the Swift brick, but the Swift population has actually declined over the years, and it's something I looked at Hertfordshire County Council where in my environment Shadow's spokesperson role, and that bird is actually declining massively in the after year area. So wherever we can, swift drifting, which is literally a break in the development, it creates more habitat for those birds to generate and populate and regrow in the area. So the things we can do and encourage.
Yes, Councillor. Alexander.
Dear residents of Austrian Wood, residents of the UK, and residents of the world, today we stand on the brink of disaster, gazing into the abyss of destruction as humanity administers the final rite to this once beautiful planet. We await with trepidation the events of forest fires, the extreme heat, the flooding of whole cities and regions, and the many other types of natural disasters that will finish the lot. Climate emergency. We got to this point because of our economic system. An economic system that allows, enables, and encourages owners of capital to appropriate labour of the working class, together with the natural resources of this planet, which should be enjoyed by all of us, to meet their insatiable appetite for profit. Little consideration has been given to what economists call externalities, which is the cost of their operations to the natural environment. How much do water companies care about economic losses from dumping sewage into rivers and seas? How much do water companies worry about carbon emission and its impact on the ability of asthmatic children to breathe? These costs are caused by them, but nowhere accounted for on their balance sheets. Instead, those costs are borne by the rest of us as they get richer. And we are now at the point where half the world's wealth is concentrated in the hands of a super wealthy 1%. In a neoliberal economy free from any meaningful government intervention, one person, one vote is replaced by £1, one vote. This means we are at the mercy of that 1% to manage the planet's finite resources in the interest of a sustainable future. It's not worked out well. That these elites are finally starting to see some change in their approach, albeit too little and too late, is not due to some kind of epiphany on their part or sudden discovery of a moral conscience. Rather, it is due to sustained and coordinated pressure from ordinary but remarkable people. Greta Thunberg, all the children that campaigned with her, as Councillor Zara mentioned, Extinction Rebellion, Just Up All, the list goes on. And that brings me back to Austrian Wood. Some might say, well, what difference does it make what we do in this small town? The big oil companies and mega factories will continue to pollute, and deforestation will still continue apace in the Amazon, regardless of what we do here in this town. The answer is we are part of a grassroots movement for change that is rapidly expanding in numbers, reach, and influence. Tonight, we are sending out a very clear signal that we at this council are part of that movement. We are going to cut our emissions, reduce the amount of vehicle use, we're going to play our part in generating renewable energy, and of course continue cycling to council meetings along the congested high streets. And now, having done that, we ask those mega polluters, what are you going to do? The 1% who are so few in number that have destroyed so much. It's not too late, but we must act now.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Turner.
I'm sure most of us agree 99% of what you just said. How do you equate what happened today with the proposal, the agreement to a new runway at Heathrow? It's absolutely against what you just said. Please explain it to me, I'm confused.
I really, yeah, I'm not communicating that knowledge.
It goes against everything that you just pronounced.
Yes, Councillor Turner, you made your point. Yes, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you, but I fully support this motion. I just wanted to find out what would the cost be to the town council on a yearly basis?
Councillor Zara. Oh, she.
Well, that's
the
the cost.
Yeah,
The cost of this, this motion.
yeah. The town council is going to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the costing, we'll have to do the costing afterwards. But I think, I think you can save us money. I think it's going to be a net benefit to us. So I don't think it's any problem with the budget and generating renewable energy should save us money. Because in paper delivery, all that's going to actually save us money. So obviously the cost of that is a concern. I'm not concerned about that.
Yeah, Councillor Chalice.
So I think just moving on from, it's a question of the £5,000, it's where's that money being allocated from? Can you just agree the budget this evening? I don't think it's included within that budget. Or was it? I'm just taking at that if I have. Sorry.
Councillor Zara, can you?
Just to clarify that, so this £5,000 was previously discussed in an EMP, so it's already in the budget, it's not an addition.
Fantastic, okay.
Yes, Councillor Newmark.
Yeah, first of all, I think, obviously, great motion through the sentiments, but we can probably find better examples than nasty anti-Semites like Craig Cumberland to be quoting in this area. But my point relates similarly to the costs of the resolve section of the motion. I think £5,000 is a good budget to service a committee and get some initial work done. But to deliver on a resolve that says the council's pledging to do what's within its powers to go carbon neutral by 2030 is quite an open-ended commitment. We're a council with powers of general competence, so yeah, we could do an awful lot within our powers if we spend money on it. We've just put forward an agreed balanced budget, and to make an open-ended commitment to do what's within our powers seems to contradict that. So I would propose that we tighten that language slightly and delete the words "what is within its powers" and replace them with "to bring forward a costed action plan to be carbon neutral by 2030. I think that's a more responsible way to proceed so that we can come up with some options, see how much they cost, and look at how that funding can be delivered.
Thanks, Councillor Newmark. Madam Clerk, can you advise on Councillor Newmark?
So Councillor Newmark has proposed an amended motion, so somebody wants to second that amendment.
I'd second the original motion, and that we can make the second with that amendment to the motion.
That's good. I didn't know that. Can we go for the vote? Who wants in favor of?
Well, it's the second, it's the more sensible thing to do, isn't it?
That's also
Second time we've been lined up.
Thanks for your sense of humor, you know? Okay, now we'll move forward to item number 11 on the agenda, and that is public participation to receive questions, the statement of the public.
Excuse me. Sorry, Mr.
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, we just voted on the amendments, now don't need to vote on the motion as amended by the amendment. So you tell, I know we're agreeing, but it's just,
What's the spell ends in the air, basically?
as a matter of protocol, exactly.
Okay. Who wants in favor? Yes, yeah, yes, of course. Okay, now we are going over the public participation to receive questions and statements from the public in relation to items on the agenda. And I think all of the participants will have 3 minutes time to speak on whether they want to ask a question or they want to chip in whatsoever. Yeah, so it's open to the public. Yeah, but you have a maximum of 3 minutes. Is there? Yes, is Vince?
Yeah, can I please ask, this seems topical this week. Can I stand up? Yes, so sorry, Councillor Connect. Can I please ask, because this is topical this week, does the Elstree and Borehamwood Town Council Mayor sign a contract?
Well, the clerk is going to advise you on, I did sign a contract.
Have you signed a labour contract separate to the Elstree and Borehamwood Town
Well,
Council?
with regards to labor issue and other things, that is an internal issue.
So can you not answer?
I reserve my answer.
So there's no then? You can't answer?
I have an answer, but I told you I reserved it. Just like how you made.
If you reserve it, does that mean you're going to tell me later?
Yeah, another time.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks so much. Do you have an additional question?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, that's your Yes, is there any other person who wants to participate? Ask a question? Yes, come on, Councilman.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we'll move over to the exclusion of the press and public. So, we have no confidential matter, so you all are at liberty to sit and look at all of these handsome, beautiful, people around you. So, I will thank you again for your participation and also turning up to our full council meeting. And, I would like to say that the meeting is closed. And we're closing the meeting now, it's 10 minutes to 9 o'clock. And I wish you all well, and I wish you all a safe journey back home. Yes.